Hi, I'm Donnie Buchanan from entrycounts.com, the place where we make it all count. Now, in this video, we're going to have a look at how we help our accounting firm clients meet AASB 1060 requirements. If you don't know what that means, you should probably have a look at this video to understand what's been happening over the last couple of years. So, since 1st of July 2022, there is now many more situations or scenarios where certain industries or certain entities have to prepare general purpose financial reports, which could be audited or not, and lodge them with a relevant authority or a private organisation. So a lot of these categories have only emerged since the 2023 financial year. So the question for you is one of your clients, if you're an accounting firm, is one of your clients or you caught in these situations and you have to do general purpose financial reports? Okay, what I'd like you to do is go to our website, so entrycounts.com. We're going to go to the blog, and you can see a blog here navigating AASB 1060. Now, in this blog, we actually look at all the scenarios that we've helped accounting firms to meet AASB 1060. For example, do you hold an Australian Financial Services licence? If the answer is yes, then you need to prepare general purpose financial reports, lodge them with ASIC. Do you need to report to the tax office? If you click the link here, there is a page here that guides, if we go to Who Must Give, there is 4 situations where the tax office now wants general purpose financial reports. Back to the blog here, are you a charity registered, an ACNC registered charity that's medium or large? If yes, well, the large ones definitely need general purpose and audited, and some of the medium ones may need general purpose and could be reviewed or audited. Are you a licensed builder in Queensland? Do you have a QBCC license? If you do, there is a chance that you will need to prepare general purpose financial reports. Another one here that's emerged recently, crowdsource funding. So if you're an entity that's raising funds through crowdsourcing, then you will need to prepare general purpose financial reports and lodge them with ASIC. Are you an aged care service provider? Then you need to lodge them with the Aged Care Commission. Are you a registered union with Fair Work? Then you need to prepare general purpose. Are you a registered training organisation? You need to lodge them with ASPA. Football Australia, Clubs Australia, so RSL or Leagues Clubs, Clubs Australia may request you to prepare general purpose. There are some other scenarios that we've seen lately. We've seen QBE insurance. When you're in construction and you are insured by QBE, we are seeing lots of accounting firms coming to us for help to prepare general purpose. And also some commercial lending, so borrowing for commercial purposes. We've seen some lenders request general purpose. So this activity is only 24 months old and it seems to be growing. We just get more and more inquiries. Sometimes it's internal shareholders, sometimes it's external parties, or maybe an audit of some type. Something needs to happen. What that does to accounting firms like yourself, though, is it sort of puts you in a situation where you have to ask yourself 2 questions. You have to ask yourself, should I go and get some software so I can prepare general purpose financial reports? What software am I going to use? How much is it going to cost? Who am I going to train to use it? Will I get a decent ROI? So all these questions will now be raised for you. Or what this video is about to cover is you may find a trusted white label service provider to actually just prepare the report for you. Like, you just sort of work together, get the report done, get the PDF set up and get it sent to the auditor and work with the auditor. This video is going to cover how we do that. We call it report preparation for our clients. We've done probably about 400 reports over the last 2 years for ASIC, charities, aged care, QBE insurance, you name it, internal requirements, crowdsource funding, the whole lot. So This video, from this point on, is going to walk you through what that process looks like if you were to ask us to help you. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to send you this form. So if you got in contact with us, we'd say, right, we want you to fill out this form for us. It's very basic. You just need to tell us what type of scenario it is. For example, it might be an aged care facility. And what we want you to do is either A, upload a trial balance, or B, invite us into Xero so we can review the complexity of the job and figure out how much work needs to be done. A few other questions there, but they're the main questions. Then what we would do is we'd send you a proposal saying, right, you've currently got the accounts in this state. We need to do this, this, and this, and this, and this to get them ready for audit. Okay, and then we'll say, well, that's our fee. Let's assume that you want to work with us, and now we need some information about the job. Okay, so we will send you this form here. This form's rather detailed. It takes about 60 to 90 minutes to complete it. But if you do it all properly at the start, it makes everyone's life so much easier. So if you go down the page, you'll see what type of scenario is it. Have you got a copy of last year's reports? Is there an auditor? Do you know the name? What are the date ranges? What's the revenue range? Really basic questions. This part here, it's really easy if you just actually upload an ASIC or a company profile, because that's got probably the next 8 to 10 answers are on that attachment. So you can just say see attached, see attached, see attached, see attached. Then there's some questions about related parties and fixed assets, and if you've got a fixed asset register, you can upload it. There's a question about lease, if there's any leases. Then what we really need is the tax return, even if it's not lodged, at least in draft format, because we need to do what's called tax effect accounting or deferred tax. So the tax return is essential for that. And then there's just a few other basic questions, cash flow questions. And from that point on, it's pretty much you hit submit and boom, we can start the job. And also invite us into Xero, and then we can start the job. Okay, so that would be step one. What we'll look at next is you can see how we actually do our job. So you can actually get a look behind the scenes as to how we actually prepare reports. And this will also give you an insight into our other solution, which is installing that system in your Xero HQ. So you can do this. So what you're about to see, you may choose to do that yourself in a year or 2 or 3 years' time with our system. Okay, so in this part, you're looking now behind the scenes at actually how we prepare the general purpose report for you and your client. Okay, so what I always do here is I always have multiple tabs open. I at least have 4. My first tab is always the report. Now in this one, we have a company with 2 directors. Okay, so what you'll notice here, if we look at the director's report, for example, is a whole bunch of situations where we have red text. Okay, so what happens next is I take all the information that you've submitted on the form and I put it into these fields. What that looks like is this. If I go up to my second tab and go to accounting and advanced, go down here to report fields. So what you'll see is there's about 86 report fields. I'll only need about 20 of them for this job. But for example, if we go back to the report, we can see that we've got the Australian company number that we need to complete. So I will add that in. Back to the report. And I'll just hit update so you can see how that works. Okay, so I have to go through and complete all these with the information that you've given me, and then after that we can look at preparing the accounts. So let me just complete the rest of this. Okay, so what I've done is I've gone through and added in all the relevant information into the fields. You can see just from this point down to here, there is about, let's say about 20 fields. Okay, so 15 of those fields won't actually change for next year. Their information, addresses, number of shares, etc. So the only thing that actually changes from year to year is things like, the imputation credits balance or the operating profit or the dividends paid. So that's all good, that's done. Let's go back to the report. So as you can see, if we go down like the director's report, for example, what you'll notice is we've got these sections that are pre-hidden. And you can see that we've got like 2 sections here for significant change in the state of affairs. There's 2 sections for dividends. There's 2 sections for matters subsequent. Okay, the reason we have it like this is because Xero is not smart enough to actually look inside your ledger and determine whether or not there was any dividends paid. It's not smart enough to look inside your entire blue Xero and figure out whether there was any significant changes. And nor should it be, because that's way too powerful for any software. The process is, you need to ask yourself, well, was there or wasn't there? Okay, so example, if there were no significant changes to the state of affairs, then this is accurate because it says there was none. However, if there was, I would actually hide that. I will show this, and I'll actually go and type in the report field exactly what that significant change was. So I can type over here, the company acquired a subsidiary on 30 June 2023. This transaction is underway. Example. And done. And how that works is if I go back here and just hit update, you'll see that we're actually going to show that instead of that. Okay, so that's how that works. Same for dividends. If there was no dividends, we would just leave that. If there's no matters subsequent, we would leave that, and so on. Okay, so on to the next reports. Now, all these reports here, P&L, financial position, changes in the equity cash flow. Okay, you don't change the layout on these. These are designed using XYZ. They are designed to meet accounting standards. So what I'm saying to you is, you don't come here and decide to hit edit layout and start renaming all this stuff. You don't do that. Because if you do, your auditor will probably tell you to come back and change it. So just don't touch it. Everything's laid out how it should be. Go to the balance sheet. So everything's grouped in groups that make sense and follow AASB 1060. For example, borrowings, lease liabilities, provisions, trade payables, etc. Okay, so once again, don't touch this report. Statement of changes in equity. This will show the movement, the change from year to year. Once again, you don't have to change that report. Cash flow. So cash flow in Xero, it can be a little bit difficult sometimes in Xero depending on how Xero is being used. We do offer you another solution where you can add in a manual custom version of a cash flow report. If you wanted to, you can come in here and go, you know what, the cash flow report in Xero is spitting out information that I don't want, so you can actually create one in Microsoft Excel and then just input the amounts into the custom template. So if you look down here, you can just type in the amounts there and the balances. Back over here, we've got first page is the notes. This is all the different. This is the basis of preparation, and we've got the ability to have a very generic revenue recognition policy, or we've got one that's more specific. This is a construction company, so we've got a specific one that we put in the report fields. So if I go back over here to the report fields, you'll see that we've got the revenue recognition policy report field here, where we put in the details about how construction accounting is accounted for. Go down the page, look, you end up hiding what you don't want. We've got all the different accounting policies. You may not need them all. Example, there may be no inventory. We've yet to put the fixed asset table in the field, so we can come back and do that. There's no right of use assets, so we'll hide that. So you can see we're just doing a lot of hiding based on the client. There's no lease liabilities, there's no reserves. There was some dividends. There's no need for financial instruments, so that's already pre-hidden. Come down the bottom here, there's no changes in accounting policy. There's no need to have a going concern narrative, so we'll just leave that. And so we're pretty happy there. Where most of the work actually happens is on the other notes page. Okay, so on this page, you've got every single account and every single balance, and it's referencing back to the P&L or the balance sheet. Example, revenue. So we can just look back in the P&L and that will be the amounts. So that's the breakdown. That's the amount that's in the P&L. So what we've got here is we've got the ability to disaggregate revenue. If you needed to disaggregate it, you could say, well, that was, there was a third of that was in Queensland, and a third was in Victoria, and a third was in New South Wales, or something like that. This report here is the only one where you use edit layout. Okay, you don't use edit layout on any of these other reports. Well, except maybe for the cash flow custom one, but you don't touch it on it. This is the only time. Okay, so you may use it there. Come down here, you can see everything's relevant in the right categories because the report codes are mapped. Everything's sort of making sense here. If we move down the page. Right, key management personnel. Example is we can use a narrative. So we can say, yep, the director got 500 grand, or we can use a table, depending on how you want to display key management personnel. So we give you both options. Auditor's remuneration, you can put it in as a narrative, or you can use a table, or you can pull it directly from the ledger. Income tax reconciliation is a manual process. There's a reason for that, is because it's very difficult for us to build it as an automated solution. So you put those in manually, you use an external work paper on that. As you go down the page, you can see that everything's kind of landing in the relevant groups here. You know, we've got your schedules in case you have to do extra disclosures for, say, the amounts written off, or a loss allowance or something like that. The breakdown, so that's optional. It's pre-hidden, so you can just show it and fill it out. If the auditor wants more detail on the breakdown of the receivables, you can enter them in here. Deferred tax, you have to show which, what it relates to, what the amount relates to, whether it relates to like a tax loss or a provision or something else. You may have some unrecognised deferred tax assets, you can show them here. You can see there's extra narrative boxes in case you need to describe more. The auditor may want a narrative about the deferred tax, so you would go and put it in the field. You can do a breakdown of carrying amounts, so the opening balance, the additions, disposals, etc. if the auditor asks for it. So that's pre-hidden. There's other fields here. There's breakdowns here for property, plant and equipment if the auditor wants that type of breakdown. There's the ability to add a narrative for borrowings. You've got plenty of room. Provisions, breakdown of movement of provisions. Sometimes the leases, so right of use assets leases. Sometimes the auditor wants a breakdown of how much is getting paid in the next year and the next 5 or whatever. Related parties, they may require a narrative. They may not. Deferred tax liabilities, they have to put the breakdown in there. Yeah, and so on. If there was any shares issued during the year, you can show the opening balance, the shares issued, and the closing balance. When you come down in here, you can see we've got that situation again where we have to ask ourselves, well, was there or wasn't there? Was there or wasn't there? Was there or wasn't there? We've got the related party section, so the related party balances all the movement in the loan accounts is actually feeding directly from the general ledger. So all the transactions are being highlighted here. What we can't automate is the actual related party transactions, income and expenses. Reason being is when you're posting them in Xero, unless you're posting them to a specific related party transactions account, which is not always happening, then we can't automate it. So you have to type them in. Once again, you would show it, you would hit edit layout, and you would change the name of those to management fees paid to the parent, or rent paid to a related trust, or whatever. You can do 1, 2, 3, 4, you can do 15, you can do 100 rows. There's no maximum. Financial instruments, if there was a requirement, you can show those and fill out the sections as per the auditor's wishes. And also a cash flow reconciliation section down here should it be required. Alright, so just back on our website here, I'm going to show you what the end result looks like. If you go into the knowledge base, click here to access the knowledge base, and here example reports. let's look at this one, QBCC prepared by Entry Accounts, and download. Okay, so this is what the end result looks like. It's a fully compliant AASB 1060 report that you'd be able to send to an auditor, and they would audit it along with the company and sign off on it, and you can lodge it with QBCC or ASIC or whoever. You go down the page here, you can see all the director's report, all the fields are filling in properly, all the information's in there, all that, everything's filling through as we expected. All the reports are in the right space, they're all laid out properly, everything's making sense. So your balance sheet, you can change the layout of the changes in equity if you want to look like this. There's different ways you can do that. Cash flow reports all working nicely. All the accounting policies and all the notes and all the disclosures are presented, and on the final page is the breakdown of all the, okay, so we've got all the different accounts, all the different information. We opted for key management personnel in a table, auditors remuneration in a table. We did the income tax reconciliation manually to match the journal. We have a few other bits and pieces, got the deferred tax breakdown, so that was the tax loss. We have breakdown of property, plant and equipment, provisions, lease liabilities, other bits and pieces. There's the deferred tax liability relates to property, plant and equipment, and all the information regarding contingent liabilities and commitments, etc., and related parties. Okay, so that is pretty much how we look after our clients. We basically just get you to fill out the form, invite us into Xero, and we can turn these jobs around in about 5 business days, depending on the time of year. Yeah, so if you'd like to know more, there's a few links at the bottom of this video. Jump on a website, entryaccounts.com, shoot me an email, donnie@entryaccounts.com, and we can jump on a Zoom meeting and I can walk you through how it all works. Thank you.